All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We appreciate everybody coming. We have a quorum. So we need to adopt the agenda, and there will be one item taken off, number 3.1, student hearing, under closed session. With that, can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to adopt the agenda with the aforementioned changes.
All right, Ms. Burns has made a motion. Do we have a second?
I make a second.
Mr. Reeves has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, agenda is adopted. We need to go into closed session. This will be for HR only. Do you have the motion? Do you know?
I'm prepared to tell you what the motion says and then.
If you'll, yeah, it may change because we do not have student hearings, so.
Understood. So, Mr. Chair, I propose that the motion to go into closed session is for the permitted purpose of consulting with your attorney on attorney-client privilege matters under 143-318.11 subpart 3, and to consider personnel matters under 143-318.11 subpart 6.
All right, would someone like to make that motion?
I will make that motion.
Ms. Hanson has made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Reeves has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And that's unanimous. So we are in closed session. Session, can I have a motion to come out of closed session and back into open?
I'll make a motion to come out of closed session.
Ms. Hanson has made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Burns has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we have a motion to approve the HR report.
I make a motion to approve the HR report.
Ms. Burns has motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Reeves has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And that's unanimous. All right. Budget reduction information, 5.1. Dr. Breedlove.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna move the podium just so I can see a little better. There we go. Well, board members, thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity to kind of talk through sort of the elephant in the room when it comes to Pender County as a whole in our budget, moving forward with our local budget. As you all know, last week we received our local appropriation funding for the budget, and there may be some questions about what comes out of local funds. Our local funds are our operational funds. So all of our utilities come out of our local appropriation funding, water, sewer, electric, as well as any types of local positions that we may have that are not either paid for out of state or federal funds, as well as all of our district level incentives. So each county has certain incentive supplements, as an example, that come out of their local, those local incentives, and includes benefits. And current rate on benefits this year is around 32.32% on employees. So anyone that's a locally paid employee and some other types of employees, and I'll get into that in a little bit. As we look at this, this was our budget that we proposed to our local government for this upcoming school year. You can see that this year our current appropriation was $29,789,720. We proposed an increase of $4 million due to increases that we have coming down from the state. Remember, when it comes to benefits and all increases, salary increases, those type of things that come down from the state, we don't pick and choose retirement, benefit packages. That is chosen by the state on how much that increase is going to be, but we have to pay it, and that comes out of our local supplement. So going into next year, looking at the increases coming down from the state, in order to just break even and maintain services, the people that we have and the services that we provide, we expected a $4 million increase would be needed in order to maintain those services. In addition to that, we also proposed a level of advancing services if we wanted to progress as a school system, and working over the course of a year, pretty much the year, and working with our parent, superintendent parent advisory, our students, of course our administration, our principals, teachers. We looked at several priorities of the district. And you can see here at the bottom, priorities to advance services would be a supplemental increase. Pender County currently has a 10.5% supplement. Our surrounding counties on the list that was provided to our local government, to you, that was in the original presentation, shows that Pender County is behind Onslow, is behind New Hanover, and is behind Brunswick when it comes to our supplement. So to get us up to the next school system closest to us at Onslow, we ask for a 1.5 increase on our supplement. We're taking us from 10.5 to 12%. And of course, there's the cost that would be is 1.2 million to do that. And of course, moving our non-certified staff from 5.5 to 7 is 448,000. So we listed all of these advancing services that we collected throughout the year and talking to all of our stakeholders that gave us input on what we would need as a system to advance services. And of course, that came down to 3,534,000, bringing our total request, including not just maintaining, but also advancing services, to 37,323,000. As we all know, last Monday, we were provided an additional 1.3 million to give us a projected budget as 31,089,720, which when we look at maintaining services, that's a $2.7 million deficit of what we had asked for to maintain the services. That's the people and the services that we currently have in place. You know, prior to receiving that information, we did sit down with the county and we had a discussion, and we looked at, okay, this was our full ask, but what if we got 3/4 of what we had asked for? What if we got half of what we asked for? What if we got 1/4 of what we had asked for? And so what would be the impact of on Pender County schools? And so Ms. Nowlin and myself, we gave the list of what those cuts would possibly be equivalent to on receiving 3/4, a half, or 1/4 of the funds. And of course, we received about 1/4, just over 1/4 of the funding that we requested. And so that brings us to, okay, putting those measures in place to reduce our local supplement and what it costs to run our system. You know, each year as prices go up, and remember, we have not had a state budget now passed by a state legislator in 4 years. And so we have been operating on a continuing budget year after year. And we all know health insurances have gone up. We all know that retirement has gone up. Just prices in general across the board, inflation and everything else have gone up. But yet we're still dealing with the same allotments from our state, federal, and our state government. And of course, federal funds have also been reduced to the county. And when that happens, we have less and less funding to run our current system. We've been very fortunate. We have an outstanding CFO who has been able to help sort of offset some of these things. And you know, over the years, when we have vacancies in positions and they go on field, we're able to capitalize on some of that funding to help offset some of the losses that we've had to try and break even. Well, we're at a point now, and we've had cutbacks each year for the last 4 years. If you look at the number of teachers and that we have less now than we've had. We've had to sit with our principals, and I appreciate each and every one of them that are here today, and all schools are represented. They know, because we've had to sit down with them and look at the reductions over time. And it's been just small, but when you do it year after year after year, we are now operating with less people. So we are very thin across the board on running a system that, if you look at our demographics, even though we may have 30 less students this year than what we had the year before, if you look at our demographic study, we're about to bust at the seams. And you can feel it in our schools, you can see that. And so, unlike other systems that have lost hundreds, if not thousands of students, we've at least maintained our enrollment over the last couple of years, and now it's ready to explode. So there are lots of concerns when it comes down to our budget, but we're pretty lean when it comes to staffing in our schools at the central office. So I just wanted to set sort of the picture of where things are as a school system. So when we start talking about when making cuts of 2.7 million, what does that look like on a system that's already pretty lean at this point? And you can see here that 86%, roughly 86% of our overall budget and our operational budget goes to human resources in and around Pender County schools. And that's typical for a school system. Most of your budget goes to people. And we're no different than that. The average annual employee cost is $87,560. Well, Dr. Breedlove, how could that be? Because we see in the news, you know, our teachers in that are some of the lowest paid people. Well, when you add 32.32% of benefits and all of these other things that go into an overall cost of an employee, that's what the average employee cost is. And so, you know, people are expensive. And we currently, that's not as much as other systems across the state and what they're paying. So I just wanted to show everyone what an employee costs, because when we talk about 10, 20, 30 people, that adds up into the overall cost to the district. Kind of moving into the current realities and staffing positions lost. We tried to go across the board and look at various ways to trim our local budget. And we talk about things like utilities. Well, we can't shut off the water, we can't shut off the electricity, we can't do those type of things. But what else is coming out of the local budget that we can cut back on? Certainly, we have more people than 21 in our local budget, but we've tried to spread it out as much as we can to get to 2.7 million. And when we're already lean on stuff, meaning anything that is a resource, that type of stuff, most of them are paid out of state funds. So they're not coming out of local budget. So local budget is very small when it comes to stuff other than personnel. So let's say 80% of the overall cut would come from personnel. And so we're looking at about a 21 employee position lost as a result of receiving 1.3 million and having a deficit of 2.7 million. So you can see the cost savings of 21 employees is 1,880,000. It still leaves us with a shortfall of around 829,658. And so our number one goal when coming in, looking at this situation is to protect our classrooms. And so, some school systems, may increase class sizes in order to reduce teachers. We don't want to do that. And we want to protect our classrooms, protect our teachers and our students, teaching and learning. That's our bread and butter. And so we started furthest away from the classroom. And let me say, though, that even though we are trimming from central office positions that are tied to the central office, such as coaches and coordinators, there's not a single position at central office that does not impact our schools and impact classrooms. Each one of these positions is people, and these people have dedicated their lives to supporting teachers, to supporting the curriculum and instruction, to supporting everything that's happening in those classrooms. So to say it doesn't have an impact, it will have an impact on our classrooms. Amen. It's not immediate, but over the course of months and years of without these individuals, it will have a significant impact on our school system. So we went into an immediate hiring freeze. We looked at positions. We looked at certifications and what individuals could fill. We ended up having, at that point, I think 22 positions that were frozen. And that's why the number you see here is 21. We were able to find a place for each one of these individuals in their classroom. So these individuals are not losing jobs or anything like that. We were able to do that. But it is still a loss to Pender County schools. Moving individuals out of what they signed up to do is a cultural issue as well, because that's not what their current role was. And we have troopers that say, you know what, we love Pender County Schools, we'll do what we can to help our school system do that. But it is a cost. So I wanted to spend a little extra time on this. And you can see here loss of key support positions, including instruction, exceptional children's services, and beginning teacher development. But what does the overall impact look like of moving 21 positions out of central office and back into schools? I think it's best, though, to look at the impact that these individuals had on our school system over the last several years that they've been in these positions. And so let's start there. As you can see here, the first slide that I have is staff retention. Several years ago, 22, 23, I came in December of 23, right in the middle. And this was a major concern. It was a concern with the board. It was a high turnover of our school system, people leaving Pender County to go someplace else. And so we worked really hard to hire individuals, to support teachers in classrooms, to make sure that individuals in our schools have the support necessary in order to do the job that we're asking them to do, and they feel that they're supported. And you can see very quickly that from our instructional coaches, our beginning teacher, our EC coordinators, and what happened. We went from 21.66, once we put these individuals in place, we dropped down to 11.26%. It went slightly up in 24, 25, but now we're at 10%, just over 10%, which is phenomenal for a school system our size to have a 10% attrition rate. And so you want to know the impact of these individuals? There it is. That's what it looks like. And consistency is our friend. When it comes to progress of Pender County Schools, keeping principals in place, assistant principals in place, teachers in place, coordinators, directors, coaches in place, any change out impacts the culture and climate of our system. And so when we can reduce that, now we are consistent across the board. That the instructional delivery inside the classroom remains consistent, and we get better over time in our system. That's the point on this slide. Instructional coaches, what do? People say, what's an instructional coach do? Well, they provide professional development. They build teacher capacity each and every day. And you can see here, training certifications, new teacher support, ongoing learning, right? Back to school training is big, as we know, and getting our new teachers and teachers new to our system up and running. Also ensuring consistent implementation of curriculum and assessments across the board. We've had new curriculum over the last several years that's had a deep impact on the level of instruction and success of our students inside of our classroom. And then supporting assessment and accountability, which is a part of the job. All right, we have to be assessed and we have to be held accountable. And our coaches and coordinators do that day in and day out, helping our teachers understand the data that they are getting from these assessments each and every day. And like I said, leading professional learning, advancing literacy across our board. That's been a big push for Pender County Schools, and we could not have done it without amazing teachers in our classroom and without the support to those amazing teachers through our coaches and our coordinators.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes, sir.
My very first school I went into last year was Pender High, Mr. Bradshaw and Mr. Paquette's. And it was a new teacher in there very first year, and I'm not going to say the name or anything. And I was sitting there going, they're not doing a great job. I mean, they were okay. They weren't engaging with the students like I thought, like the other teachers were. And I asked, and they said he's beginning. I went this past year, and I came out of there. I'm going, what the heck happened to this guy? He was like a whole different teacher. It was just amazing the difference that beginning teacher coach did with that teacher. It was just night and day.
It matters, and it's visible.
Yeah,
and each and every day. And our students are the ones that benefit.
Yeah, he was holding court in there, and I actually, in the classroom, I actually tripped over a chair, and he popped his gavel down and said, "Quiet in the courtroom, I'll have you removed." But it was fantastic.
So he was confident.
Yeah, it is amazing, so yes, I'm sorry.
I have a question. If this is a program that has to be cut, where will this be consumed in our current?
It's gonna be on the backs of our principals and administration to pick up the load on, and they're already taxed. And of course, it doesn't mean that they're alone. Central office directors, myself, cabinet staff will be picking up the extra duties where we can. And that's just, we're gonna have to do as much, if not more, with less. And the only way to do that is to pick up more duties. And that's gonna be the response throughout this, because we're just not gonna have the people to do it. And it's concerning. What about our academic performance? And by state statute, I am not allowed to tell you where we are this year. So I had to put up last year's data here. And you can see from the implementation of these individuals that we've had and the amount of growth that we've had in our elementary schools, our middle schools. You can see everything that's green is an increase. And our high schools. All right, and I will say, and I told them I would not slip, so I'm not gonna slip, but I can say that by far, Pender County Schools this past year blew this data away. The increases that we had this past year on academic performance is phenomenal. It's unprecedented. And we have met all of our goals and then some when it comes to strategic plan. And I can't wait to unveil those actual scores, and you can see those across the board. And it is because of great teachers who are working with great students, who are doing the time, but then are supported by each one of these individuals in our classrooms.
And Dr. Breedlove, if you don't mind my saying, this is all done when we are 115th out of 115 districts in the state of North Carolina, and I believe that's for state funding, right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And 113th for local, or did I have that?
We are 113th out of 115 when it comes to overall per pupil expenditure, federal, state, and local. When it comes to state funding, we are 115th out of 115th in the school system. Well, how could that be? Shouldn't all systems get the same amount of money from the state? Well, the formula is, it looks at our local funding. The state looks at your local funding, and then there's a threshold. It's called the average per pupil, all right, of local funding. And it looks at the effort of your local government. And when your effort of your local government is not at the state average, then the state adjusts downward, if it's lower than the state average, that amount. And so you get less from the state. So it should tell you when we are the county at the very bottom of state funding, what does that tell you about the local effort that is being made? So, and
Every
I'll try-
single one of you out there is part of the equation, a massive part of the equation as to why we are as good as what we are.
so,
And we
yes.
thank you for
You know,
that.
growing up, you know, if you get in trouble at school, you get in trouble when you get home, all right? And so, yes, when the effort is not there on the local side, the state also penalizes you on their side. And so that's the clean version of where we are as a system. And so, yeah, it's phenomenal job out of our teachers, our students, and these administrators across the board, and doing more with less. And so, moving on, decrease in North Carolina state designated low-performing schools. You can see here in 21 and 22 and 22-23, we had 8. Remember, when your system hits above 50% of its schools that are low-performing, you get special state support if that happens over time. So We were under 50%, but very close to that 50% mark. But you can see here with the amount of supports that we've been able to put in place, these individuals on a shoestring budget, look what we've been able to do. Reduce those schools from 8 to 6 in 23-24, 6 to 3 in 24-25, and I'm hoping, all right, we'll find out in the fall where we are, but I'm hoping that that's the exact graph of what it's going to look like
Zero.
at the end of the year. But it has certainly gone down year over year because of the amazing work that our staff, administrators or teachers or schools, everyone impacts the classroom, and that's what you see there. Others that are impacted in that 21 position, we are looking at the impact of losing EC coordinators. The district has 10 people at the central office that support our schools. And you can see here that an 80% staff reduction on the EC side as well. Of course, all of the instructional division coaches, all of the beginning teacher coaches, and 80% of our EC services come out of that local budget and would be impacted as part of that. And that means coordinators going back to classrooms. And so these coordinators, as you can see, do a lot of services inside of our schools, so either supporting through being the LEA and IEP meetings, supporting teachers, helping with resources, problem solving, and an elimination of these type of things certainly hurts the capacity of the school system when it comes to supporting our exceptional children across the system, and we understand that. So you can see here, put the critical risk there of increased threat of complaints, state litigation, and costly compliance failures if we are not able to maintain the level of services. And of course, we're going to do our very best to make sure that that doesn't happen, but these are always risks when you start pulling individuals out. Substitute funding reduction is another area of cost savings that we would like to talk about. You can see here that it costs about $2.4 million to run a school system our size for a year in all of the subs. When teachers get sick or they go out on leave and we have to have long-term subs, all of that goes into this system that we have. And so instead of pulling out 100% of that, we felt that that would be detrimental to our school system, so a cutback of 25%. Well, what happens when you don't have substitutes in a building? Well, I was a teacher. Everyone here, our principals and APs, they were all teachers too. They know that we got to cover. And so part of your planning goes to cover other classrooms. And what happens over time when your teachers are doing this over and over and over, it wears them down. They're already taxed, and yet they're having to cover other, and they're glad to do it for their peers, but it is hard because they should be planning. They should be, during those periods when they're covering, they might be doing interventions with students, tutoring, test preparation, all of those things that teachers do during their planning period to support instruction now gets pushed back. And so we're going to ask teachers and staff, and I will say that we've already talked about this in our central office, helping to support and subbing into classrooms. But what does that mean? Well, if I'm subbing in the classroom, there's other things that aren't being taken care of, right? And so it ultimately has a detrimental impact on the culture and climate of our school system, because we are cutting back 25%. Our recommendation is to cut back 25% of that, so that we are sort of softening this across the board. Positions, substitute funding, and then other areas, and I'll get into as we go forward.
Dr. Breedlove,
Yes, ma'am.
are we going to be able to keep long-term subs? Are we going to be able to fund that?
Yes, ma'am, that's part of the 75% that we are keeping.
Okay,
But we have to be strategic. And
Yes, sir.
all it takes is one influenza outbreak and, something else to happen that we blow through that funding and,
Yes, sir.
which is reserved. So we're just gonna have to be careful and work with our principals, help them understand how this funding works and continue to use it. Some classes may be easier to cover with staff members. It doesn't have to be necessarily teachers, it can be central office and others. But our time is limited in what we are doing as well, so we're gonna have to spread that out. But then other classes might be better to have that substitute in there covering. So
So now we're gonna have teachers who come to work sick already, come to work sicker, and, because there's nobody covering their classrooms. So we're gonna ask more of teachers now. This is just insane.
it certainly is not ideal. Yes, sir.
So, yes, having been a substitute myself and having to go to another classroom when you do have a planning period where, you might be doing something else, we're asking our teachers or staff to go in and sub in classrooms. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, ma'am.
And lose their planning time?
Yes, ma'am.
Potentially.
Ultimately, we are trying to, once again, support the idea that we are removing things that are furthest from the classroom on a day-to-day basis, but these are impacts to the classroom. I mean, there's no way to go about it. Yes, we are keeping class sizes where they are. We're not increasing class sizes, and we are protecting teachers. But it's these ancillary things that support teachers, because we do want them to stay home and get healthy, rather than feel that they need to come into work and sick, because they don't want to put that burden on another teacher in the building.
They
Right?
already do come to work sick because they know, and it's a shame. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So you can see here, by doing that, there's loss of planning time, the impact of students, like I said, when it comes to tutoring and interventions, stress and burnout occur, and operational efficiency over time, all right? Having to cover classes instead of accomplishing other tasks that were on the agenda that day, whether that's principals, APs, teachers, school staff. Well, what about our teacher working condition survey too? All right, that's another piece of data on what these individuals impact. And you can see here where we have gone over the last 3 years when it comes to teacher working condition survey. And across the board, you see major increases. But I highlighted time because we just talked about teachers covering other teachers and pulling back some of our substitute. And already, the lowest category when it comes to teacher satisfaction is time. They do not have enough time. While it's improved, that's great. But what happens when you start pulling these elements out of the system and now pushing teachers back into covering others across the board when we don't have the substitute funding that we need? I would imagine you will start seeing that number probably drop. I mean, that's only logical that the satisfaction would drop as a result of this. And I will say, we talked about all the great successes that we've had. Teacher working condition survey, do you realize that almost 95%, it's the highest on record, of our teachers and staff that took the survey said that their school was a great place to work and learn. And I will end with the teacher working condition survey with that statistic, which is phenomenal. Professional development, also another area that we are looking to pull back, which is bothersome in and of itself. Doesn't mean that we will stop professional development, but once again, what do we do when we stop having the money to help support our schools with professional development? It turns to in-house. We will accomplish as much as we can with the people that we have internally to do the professional development and support. Also, when we talk about travel and all of these things to around the state, we want our teachers to get professional development. That is so impactful as a school system, because people stay when they have a fair wage and they feel supported in their professional growth. And so it's just not about professional development, but it's also about the attrition rate, because, hey, I haven't gotten professional development, nobody's investing in me, and that hurts. That hurts the school system. And you can see here some of the impacts when it comes to professional learning. You know, the results kind of cascade, right? Lower educator confidence. You have less, over time, less effective teachers because, you know, our instructional coaches, our beginning teacher coaches, they help with all of that, just as you spoke to, Mr. Reeves, and the teacher that you saw there, and the increases that they had over the course of a year. And then higher turnover rates, and then, of course, overall weaker school system over time when this happens. We have to invest in our teaching staff, and we do that through our coaches and our coordinators that go in and support high-quality teaching and learning. And we know that by law, CE teachers have to have CEUs in order to keep their licensure. So we have to find a way to do the professional development. We just have to turn it inside and ask fewer people to do more. Other options that we considered, and as you can see here, anything in red is what I talked about as the potential cuts to the system. The items in black are not, but these are things that come out of our local budget. So when it comes to like APs in 10 months, as we all know that our schools, even though the school year is 10 months long, we still have summer programming, Read to Achieve. We still have things happening every single day in our schools. Plus, the school has to shut down 1 year and reopen in August. And so it takes time and it takes effort. It takes hiring and all of that. And to do that without assistant principals for the summer would be detrimental to these schools and being ready each year in August. And so that would be extremely problematic, and you know it would be a $200,000 savings. But is that the bang for the buck of saving? Probably not. So currently, our assistant principals work 11 months. They do that. They really need to be working 11 and a half months. Truthfully, that's what I believe. But with funding the way it is, we are able to get 11 months, but so that would be a 1 month cost savings. That's what it is for our system. Athletics come out of local budget. We pay athletic stipends and all of those things, $900,000. That, you know, everyone's impacted by that, right? Once again. Everyone is impacted by that, and I don't see that as a viable option for Pender County Schools. Budget of subs, we could reduce it by another 25% and go to 50%. It's 1.25, but once again, now the number of classrooms being covered by teachers and staff goes up even further, all right? And we already talked about what that would look like. Decrease local supplement by 0.5%. Well, we've been fighting tooth and nail to get more supplement. We asked for 1.5 to get us up to 12, so to go back to 10 for our teachers. Now everyone is impacted by that. All right, so that's, you know, it's an option. These are just brainstorming things of what comes out of our local budget. Moving to in-house PD model, which we chose, $180,000. PILA is funded out of our local budget for some operational costs there. It's more than that, but these are operational costs. And if you talk to any one of these principals that are in this audience, they say, no way. That school is making a difference in the amount of success that school has had on this system is unbelievable, and it would be backed by every one of these principals say, no, we have got to have this for our most delicate students and that need the additional support. So that kind of leaves us with the three items that we have discussed. And so kind of moving forward, I do want to talk about, we're going to take our time as we work to address these concerns and these issues with our district leadership, with our school-based leadership, with our schools as we progress into the school year and throughout next year. We don't know what the future holds across federal. We still don't have a state budget. And now, we don't know what our local budget options are. It was fairly consistent and we knew, well, now we don't. So I think we always have to prepare for the worst. And we'll do that with our staff, especially on the federal and the state side of things. But we're going to take our time and we're going to work with them and look across the board as we start preparing for the 27-28 school year. And remember, we open up a K-8 school, J.H. Lee, which is also coming online during that year. So we have to take those type of things in considerations, the number of teachers that we'll need, number of staff members that we'll need, all of that. And we are working on that. Lastly, I'll say this, and I'm just going to just kind of speak from the heart a little bit, because I feel this is a very difficult situation to be in, and something that Pender County has not been in since I've been here and probably before, and only other times of when there's been natural disasters that occur when several of these things have happened, but we are not in now. We are on a federal. We are on a financial. We're looking at this on a financial side because we've been under a continuing budget from the state for now multiple years. This is having a deep impact on our local funding, and we're asking to do more with less each year. And so now we're at the point where we have done that. We have trimmed year after year after year because we haven't gotten advancing services or those things to add to our system. And so we just sort of been, through attrition, eating up some of these positions over time because people are more expensive, benefits are more expensive, all of that. When we have the same budget year after year and you have the same amount of people, the only way to do it is to reduce people. And now having requested just to keep the individuals that we have, we've requested $4 million to get $1.3 million is tough. And to stand before a board and to share all the successes that we've had as a school system, to know what is about to happen to our school system, it gives you all sorts of emotions, right? And it's tough. It is. And now I have to look at our principals, I have to look at our staff who expect me as the superintendent to support them and protect them. And that's all of us. And now to have to pull these levers out that are supporting them is extremely difficult. Many of these individuals that will be impacted moved here specifically to do these jobs, and then now are being asked to go and do another job. That's not what they signed up for, but they do love the system, and like I said, many are willing to do that, but some are not, I would imagine. And so we will probably lose individuals that are phenomenal and great and have dedicated their lives to serving the students of Pender County in those particular roles, only to have the carpet sort of pulled out from under them. Board members, it breaks my heart to stand before you on the heels of the great stuff that's going on and then speak to you today once again, trying to help lead and support and protect and say that we're pulling some of these personnel out. It hurts. And I want to remind everyone that the funding that we are receiving from our local government is not sufficient to support free public schools in Pender County. And when that's not sufficient, the only way to do it is to cut services and to cut personnel, and that's what we are left with doing. So, board members, that concludes the presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and I've got our staff here, and of course, we have principals that are here too. If you have elements that are specific to them or what the impacts that they might want to talk to about their schools.
Can I go first?
Sure.
I'm very saddened by this. It's really heartbreaking because, you know, I go into these schools and I see how hard these teachers work, the principals, assistant principals. It's just really, it saddens me. I have to ask a question. Okay, and I know this may sound stupid, but these are desperate times. What if, or can we, use, I guess our county commissioners are too afraid to go out there and ask for a tax increase. I'm not gonna get into why we're in this position, because I already know it. Everybody knows me, you know, I know what's going on in our county government. Is there any chance that we could use the bond money to get out of this for this year? You can't.
No, sir. The bond money is very specific on what it can be used for, and it cannot be used to fund personnel on an operational side.
I already pretty much knew that. I just wanted to ask. Because somebody might say, why can't we use the leftover bond money from the new school?
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's a good question.
Oh, can I go next? Okay. Before I ask my question, I just wanted to say thank you to you and Ms. Nallen and whoever had input into this presentation, because clearly that was a lot of work. And I'm sure it's not easy knowing that you're dealing with your staff's professional career, their home life, a lot of different things that go into all of this. But I do want to ask so that the public understands, because I've seen some questions out there, how much money do we get from the lottery? And where does that money go, or what is it allowed to be used for?
So the lottery funding is infused into our state allotments. So there are dollars that they put into our state allotments to support. There's a minimal amount of money, lottery money, that covers debt services for the county. And then there's a portion there's special funding that we are using, the renovation and repair money that has been used over the past 2 to 3 years under my purview. The truth of the matter is the numbers don't add up. You can see that there has been a call for the for an audit of the lottery funding. So I think that's a sign that we all know that, and I hate to really say this, but the truth of the matter is they rob Peter to pay Paul. So they say they give us lottery money in our state allotments, but then they pull the allotment that was originally there. They just kind of transfer the money. It's not like they add to. They're just using a different funding source to supply the same money. So in essence, it kind of zeroes itself out. Is the lottery money being used? You can go out on the lottery website, the North Carolina website of the lottery, and you can see where they say that money is going. It is going to student support and instructional support positions, but it's not telling you the money that got taken away to use that. Does that make sense? So they are using the money 3 times I mean, it's just, there's no, it's, I mean, I don't wanna say like it's a shell game, but it's, and everybody is stretched with revenue. Dr. Beloved, myself, if you look at the news, we're not the only one here. I mean, all of the counties in North Carolina are struggling with budgets because the revenue is falling short at the state, it's falling short in the federal government, and it's falling short in the local government. And I hate to say this, but we think it's gonna be even tougher next year, the following year. Not this current budget cycle, but the following year. So, yes, lottery money is that elephant in the room, and I think that the state treasurer is working on auditing that as we speak, because there's been a big call from all of North Carolina constituents to say, where is the lottery funding going?
Okay, thank you.
Especially after that lottery was sold as the education lottery. Yeah. I guess where this really gets us is that at the end of the day, it's not just affecting the administrators in the building or the teachers in the classroom. Who this funding deficit is really going to affect is our students. And I know, Dr. Breedlove, that you and your team are doing your best to try to armor the classrooms, and I do appreciate that. But if we don't get some kind of monetary support from our local government, I could see where we get to a point where we're going to have to increase classroom size. And we're going to have to make other cuts that support our students' educations. And that is where it's really hitting me in the heart. And tomorrow night is going to be very important. This conversation is probably going to be one of the most important conversations that we have with county commissioners thus far. This is the future of our county, our future leaders, and nothing is more important than those children in our classrooms. So I would say thank you to everybody in here for all of your support. I've been a lot on social media this past weekend, and I've seen that there are a lot of parents out there who are ready to support us in this time of our struggle, and especially our willingness to talk to the county commissioners to try to get more. For those people, I would say thank you so much. All of you administrators that are in here today, thank you for showing up. All of our community that showed up today, thank you so much. And I hope to see you and more of you tomorrow night. We need your support, and it's not just on social media. We need you to actually show up tomorrow night. Yes, I'm going to say it. Show up tomorrow night. Because this, like I said, this is the most important thing probably that we've pursued. And if we can't right this ship soon, you've already seen the presentation. You know what it's going to do to us. And I will tell you, it's not easy sitting in these seats right now, but this is the kind of thing that this is what you sign up for. So we're going to go talk to our county commissioners. It's going to be a good conversation, and I'm hoping that we can help them understand just exactly how devastating this could be to our school system. So with that said, again, thank you. Thank everybody for coming out here today. We do appreciate you.
And I don't think, everyone involved, I don't think is clear on the part about the state funding.
Okay.
There seems to be a disconnect with that. I just don't think people realize it.
Yes, sir.
How you get penalized twice, so hope we can have that conversation tomorrow night too. And I don't know, I mean, we may not, I suspect there'll be some compromising going on is probably, the reality, but, you know, everybody seems to be pretty open to having the discussion on this, so I think it'll be productive.
Well, you know, if we just fall back on the strategic plan of the county, the number one goal of Pender County strategic plan is supporting Pender County schools. That came from the community, that came from their efforts, so it makes the discussion a little bit easier. Just wanted to bring that up.
Well, and it was very heartening that we sent a letter over yesterday and immediately got a meeting with them tomorrow night. I think that kudos to them for acting so quickly and scheduling a meeting with us so quickly. I think it hopefully is showing that they realize that, you know, this is a problem that needs a solution.
Right. Nelson?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I don't think we have any action that needs to be voted on, other than we've verbally agreed to meet tomorrow with the commissioners.
occurred yesterday,
Yep. So, as far as I know, the notices have been sent out for the public notice, so, all right.
You want to hear from any of our principals?
I was getting ready to ask.
Statement?
Oh, yeah.
Know who we would.
Anybody want to come up and tell us what you think? Principals?
Staff, anybody?
Potential impacts?
Good morning, board members, Superintendent Dr. Brandon Love, Cabinet, and directors. I'm not going to read my full impact statement, and I want to maintain my emotions, so I'm just going to be very brief. I just want to say, as a Title I school serving a high-needs population, Seal Pope Elementary is at a pivotal moment in its improvement journey. Through intentional instructional practices, targeted interventions, and relentless focus on student achievement, our school is on the brink of exiting low-performing school status. The loss of a critical support position threatens the momentum we have diligently built to sustain. One of the most significant impacts to Seal Pope Elementary is the loss of our instructional coach, EC coordinator, and beginning teacher coach position. The roles are not just administrative luxuries. These are essential components of our school improvement efforts and process, and directly contribute to student achievement and teacher effectiveness. The impact on our students. Ultimately, staffing reductions are not simply personnel decisions, but they are student impact decisions. Every coaching conversation, collaborative planning session, and data analysis meeting and classroom support opportunity translates into stronger instruction and improved outcomes for children. As a Title I school working tirelessly to improve student achievement and exit low-performance status, Seal Pope Elementary relies heavily on these supports to accelerate learning, close achievement gaps, and ensure students have access to high-quality instruction. We respectfully ask our county leaders to consider the long-term impact of these reductions on student achievement, teacher effectiveness, school improvement, and efforts in workforce development. Investing in public education is investing in the future of Pender County. These students we serve today will become the workforce leaders and community members of tomorrow. Seal Pope Elementary remains committed to excellence and continuous improvement. We will continue doing everything within our power to support students and staff. We cannot ignore the reality that the loss of these positions will have a measurable impact on our ability to sustain and accelerate the progress we have made. Thank you for your consideration and commitment to the children of Pender County.
We'll be here till lunchtime. Did you bring lunch?
Greetings and good morning. Board Chair, Vice Chair, staff side, board, good to see everyone. Grateful for my colleague, who I think summed it up. I will have 3 minutes, I've been told. I will use 3 minutes tomorrow as a private citizen as well. 3 years ago, my family, for students in Pender County schools, in the Topsail district at the elementary, middle, and high school, a wife who's one of the 21. A principal of Pender High School who's done more in the last 3 years than anybody on this side of the Mississippi River to improve outcomes for students. And when I get asked that by my previous roles that I've had in other districts, and people keep up and they want to know how's it happening, how'd that data move, I oftentimes have described Pender County, which has been so good to me, as Gideon from the good book. It's so small but mighty. I've attempted to put in calls myself to the commissioners to understand how the data that you've seen, that we've experienced, that students' livelihoods are better for the next 70 years are better for coming through Pender County schools, in large part because we have at our disposal strategy in those positions, and coordinators and expert educators. To those 21, I know this is a tangent, but I imagine you're probably listening. To those 21, you are worthy, you are distinguished. This is not because you were lacking. This is in large part because we are Gideon. We are the state, the only state without the budget how it's supposed to go. When you look at state budgets, we're always in the bottom 10 of all 50 states. And then you look within the state and we're 113 out of 115. And it all points back to our efforts. The only thing we can tangibly demonstrate to the next generation that we're preparing a way for you to be self-sustaining and also contributing back into this community, which is how all of you are sitting there too. That's the common story in Pender County schools everywhere that I go. I want to specifically spend my last 1 minute, I think, sir, talking about Pender High School. 650 students in a vulnerable situation, a state-designated low-performing school, a bout of frustrations before my arrival, and they haven't certainly calmed. We've just used strategy and people. The challenging part here, I would say, is we can't talk about this data that we know yet. What a catch-22. Because of all that amazing data, it keeps getting better and better with the philosophy of more is less, but there is a breaking point. And I would, in the little time I have, to advocate for names and faces at Pender County schools who, when they heard this, were absolutely devastated. And they're devastated in large part because if you are just naturally, statistically, in a state-designated low-performing school situation, you are going to have an increased number of beginning teachers in your workforce. That's what it is. And in order to really have, at the same time, the ability to grow educators who can fall in love with this thing and get a hold of it and have that kind of impact at such scale, and that's just not at Pender High School. That's at every one of these schools are relying on that to walk into a very contentious IEP meeting for a student who means the world to everybody in the room, but it's hard to figure it all out, and to have the expert in the room who can kind of guide you and say, hey, we can, we can't, we should, we could, just supporting that team from years and years of experience in tough situations. It's from instructional coaches who have delivered professional development in such a powerful way. I know I can't speak numbers, but I would just look at the math profile happening in Pender County schools. That's the one my eye's been on. No offense to the ELA side, there are people wiser than me on that, but to move a math metric the way it's moving happens through very intentional structures and supports. Yes, sir, you gave the right answer. We will spend every hour and energy and might until we can't anymore to fill the gaps. What I would suggest to this board in preparation in this presentation is I do think we need to think about adding some statistical realities, because that graph doesn't exponentially increase. At the same time, funding woefully decreases. To every family that's scared, we hear you. We're all here in support of it. We're trying to make sense of it, and there's no simple answer. There's no enemies in this. I think I applaud this board for their attempt at conversation with the commissioners. My house prays over the commissioners in advance, as they do of you, of every school leader here and every person impacted. The reality that kids won't be impacted by this is just not a real thought that you could conceive in an organization that's focused on teaching and learning. With gratitude to this board and my colleagues, the impacts are simply this. Teachers will be ran ragged. They will answer the call. They will cover the rooms. They will be kind to me and pretend like I'm doing a good job to fill that gap. And they'll do that to you as well. But the day in, day out rhythm of a public educator already exists, that every day they do a $100,000 job minimum. Your worst teacher is investing day in and day out. And they're using sweat equity to make up the difference between what we can pay and what heaven's reward will be. Continue this fight. Public education and Pender County Schools, this is our home. We can do this collectively. I would ask if the commissioners are listening to really lean in. I appreciate their effort to do that, and they have challenging decisions to make as well. We have the money, and I've always heard, show me where your money goes, I'll show you your priorities. You've named the priority. Number one is education. This decision does not reflect that. There is still time and hope. I'm grateful on behalf of all of Pender High School, anything that I can take credit for my colleagues if they would allow me. What a gift it is to work in this district, to see such impact with woefully inadequate public funding, just in general. And they do it time and time again. And I think I'm at my 4th minute to say, we will not stop serving kids to the best of our abilities. We will not let that happen. All who remain behind in whatever role will be finding a way that on the other side of this, though we can't see it now, is better and is good, and some things that are hidden will come to light. And I think that's all we can ever ask for. And I will end with great appreciation to this board for how you're handling your seats. I look at Facebook as well sometimes, and I see how misunderstandings can really cripple us. I would encourage all of our parents who have engaged to continue to do that beyond this thing, to come to our schools, to volunteer. We're going to need your help now more than ever. And with that, thank you for your time.
Good morning, and thank you for being here this morning. Kevin, thank you. So, I think, the east side of the county is busting at the seams already. And so, when you look at budgeting and what you can live without and what you need, we've suffered some cuts, at Surf City Middle. And that impact, is gonna be long lasting. When I got to Surf City 3 years ago, I was excited to try to bring a program that would feed into the high school programming, and started a theater program. And that is essentially one of the positions that we're losing at this point with these budget cuts. And I hate that. I hate that for our kids. I hate that for where that can lead them in the future. Because it's those little things that makes our kids excited about school. It's how we see the growth. In addition to that, I've got 6 beginning teachers this year that I've looked at, and I've committed to serving them in our school and making sure that they have support. And it's heartbreaking that program and the leadership in that program is one of the things that we're facing losing, because it not only provides support for our teachers, but in turn it's support for our students. It's hard in this day and age to convince people that the intrinsic reward of teaching outweighs the financial deficit that they're gonna face, because that's really where we're at. People that go into teaching do it for the love of children. We don't do it for financial gain. We do it to serve our community. We do it to ensure that our kids have a bright future. And when we take away programs like our beginning teacher program, it's just like one more hit for teachers that are already struggling. Our classrooms are very full on the east side of the county. In Surf City Elementary, Surf City Middle, I've been in the east side of the county for 8 years as an administrator. I've served for 8 years as an administrator on the east side of the county, and it's not slowing down. The enrollments are already coming in. And so when you look at projected budgets and how that is laid out, we just keep growing. There's a 12-building apartment complex on the corner at 210 and 17 that looks like it's flying. So we see all of this progress and all of these people coming in, and we still don't have the foundational services to serve our community. The children, we don't get to hang a no occupancy sign outside of our schools. We still have to serve children, which means that the funding for schools has to grow every year because we're dealing with more and more students every year, and the needs get greater every year. So I encourage our county commissioners to really take a look at what needs to be done to fund our schools completely, because this is not a one-year impact. This is an impact that's gonna carry for years. And it's, if you look at learning in kids, they say that for every 1 year a child is off, it takes at least 3 years to rebuild that. What do we think is gonna happen when we impact an entire system of students with a lack of resources? It's going to be a long-lasting problem that we're gonna need to recover from. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being our leaders in contacting the Board of Commissioners. I don't know that people know the true impacts of everything that's gonna hit at this point, but it's coming. And if we don't make some major changes as a county, it's gonna continue to impact our kids, and they're the ones we're fighting for. So thank you for your time.
Anybody else?
Well, good morning, Board, Dr. Breedlove, and Cabinet. Every year, when I come back to school, I ask my CTE staff, what is your why? Why are you here? Of course, it's always centered around students, but every single year, I say it's a matter of life and death for our students. That's why we're here. The opportunities that we can provide to our students are simply a matter of life and death. I know this is about funding, this is about money, right? But I encourage us to not think of it that way. It's about life and death. 2.7 million opportunities, 2.7 million barriers that are gonna be broken, 2.7 million things that are gonna change a kid's life. If we think about, we got 10,000 students. That's $270 a student. We can buy a Lego set, we can buy a Nintendo Switch, but I mean, it's that simple, $270. But it's not just a game console or anything like that. This will literally change their lives forever, and change our lives forever, because we get to see the impact that we can make. And so if I can encourage anything, just for us to think about, yeah, we are asking for money. We do need money, but what the money gives us is a matter of life and death. So it can really make or break our children and our future. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you for just, pushing forward, pushing the line, not backing down, and asking for the money, because we need it. Pushing for our students, pushing for my child. I appreciate it.
I won't be long. Good morning, Board. I guess we're not sure. running a little bit of sleep last night. The 5-month-old kind of kept me up last night, so bear with me. I'm just thinking through the multiple positions that we're losing. Speaking from a principal of a kindergarten through 8th grade building, the instructional coaching positions are critical in our buildings. We have kindergarten learning in the same building as 8th graders. In a building that has all that learning with multiple different content and a lot of curriculum going on. Those roles are critical for leadership, but our teacher support too. I can be as expert as I can in a lot of different things, but knowing every standard, every content, every current curriculum, kindergarten through 8th grade, is tough. And so they can rely on me and I can go find them the answers. Someone in their district will find the answers. But having that resource critically available, like readily available for them, has been key in our growth. And we've had a lot of growth, and we will continue to have a lot of growth. And I'm very proud of the work we've put in at Penderly over the past several years. And we'll continue to do that work and continue to put in. We just added a barrier for that. Not just for me, not just for my leadership team, but my staff and students. The staff and students in our building just lost a critical support. The beginning teacher program, phenomenal. Something we hang our hat on. Dr. Gridley and I went to the North Carolina Association for School Administrators a couple months ago, and actually we did Kevin and Melissa's presentation. They just presented to a room full of educational leaders across the state on the impact that this program has done for our district. They got pretty much a standing ovation. I had several administrators that I know in the state come to me and say, hey, what are y'all doing? Like, what's the things y'all were doing in that over there in Pender County? Based off that presentation that they gave. And now, the critical pieces, the 3 critical pieces for that program are gone. And that's tough. And the EC coordinators, I can't pretend to know half of the information that they know. EC World is a beast in and of itself. And any more support that we can get for those is help for everybody. But thank you all for the support you have. You all have been in all of our buildings in this district, and I know that y'all support us. Let's continue this fight.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So I want to start off by saying the principal group, they know I'm the crybaby of the group, so I'm going to try my best, but I do wear my emotions on my sleeves, the good and the bad. I will say yesterday I was privileged to have 4 staff members out of the 21 in my building that have been placed into classrooms and taken from their current positions. And I will tell you, every single one of those ladies were continuing to have their nose in the book. They were doing their work. They didn't talk about the situation. They continued fighting the good fight. They were positive. It just really inspired me to come up here and just talk on their behalf, that they really care about these students and they really want to improve Pender County schools. And I think that we need these people in those positions. I know as a principal that these are people that I have, again, cried with, laughed with, seen the fruits of our labor, and to know that they won't have as much as an impact. I mean, our classrooms are going to be great because we're putting instructional leaders in the classrooms. Our students will benefit from that. But what happens is that's 30 students that they have. When you multiply that times all the students that they serve in their current positions, those other kiddos are going to lose out. And that's where I am concerned. But just knowing that these people are still wanting to do the work that we're intended to do with these circumstances is incredible. So I really hope at our commissioners meeting tomorrow, we can see how important that it is that we have these funds to get these people back in those positions. And I think, you know, from our perspective, I'm praying that that's what happens, then we can kind of fix the fallout of ensuring that these people know how important that they are, and that they will continue to do great things. So I appreciate all of your time, and I didn't even use the tissue. Thank you guys for all of your work, and I will
Anyone else? All right, we appreciate everyone's comments. Any more board members got anything to say before we adjourn until tomorrow?
No, I kind of feel like this was a pep rally for what we're about to walk into tomorrow night. And I thank you for that. We were already, we know the significance of this, but to hear it from you guys, it's invaluable. Because we know what you do every day, and we know that you do so much with less than what anybody else has. So I think the term sweat equity was used by you, Mr. Paquette, and it's, don't think we don't see it, because we do. And like I said, it's just fueled us to go into this meeting tomorrow night, and we are going to do everything that we can to get you everything that you deserve.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.